Okay, well, I think that's enough about that. Let's move away from Star Trek now and talk about um, some other franchises. This one time we're going to talk about DC, and this was a topic that Justin suggested as we hear that J.J. Abrams, whom some consider savior, some consider destroyer of franchises, is moving reportedly over to take over the Justice League, the very stalled Justice League dark film. You want to fill us in, Justin?
Well, this was just announced today, actually. So it looks like this is going to be on HBO Max. I guess something had happened with the other person that they were looking at directing this, and now J.J. Abrams is sticking his hand in this one too. I mean, he's literally gotten into everything. It looks like it's just. What else is he going to work on next? He's in Star Trek. He's in Star Wars. He's done Marvel. Now he's in DC. I mean,
I mean,
What did he do with Marvel?
Marvel.
he's done one of the animated.
he opened a comic book.
Yeah.
Look, here's the thing. Who did not see this coming? Okay,
This is his niche.
well, not just that, but it's
Yeah.
not just that. He just signed a massive contract with Warner.
That's right.
I mean, this was preordained. You know, everyone knew that this was going to happen. This is just his toe dipping in the water. If this is like Jon Favreau coming into the Mandalorian type thing, okay, this is the same thing going on right here. Okay, this is J.J. Abrams, you know, coming into DC through this, and eventually, what I would expect would happen is that he's going to be the vision for the whole franchise, regardless of what platform it's on. That's what I'm
And
guessing.
does that thrill you or
I love J.J.
terrify
Abrams.
you?
I don't give a shit. I love J.J. Abrams. You know, and the guy makes entertaining shit. I mean, it's going to be, you know, he's. It's like, as far as caliber is concerned, he's the A team. Zack Snyder's the fucking C team. Okay, you know, it's true. You know, I would much rather see, you know, J.J. Abrams in charge of bringing this franchise back than I would want to see, you know, anyone else. Look, he's a fixer. He's a guy that comes in and fixes shit. Okay, I mean, you know, he came back. Say what you want about the last three, the sequel franchise. Okay, for Star Wars,
right?
Say what you want about that. Okay, he brought the shit back. Okay, I mean, he made that franchise. He gave that franchise new life with that first film, just like he gave the Star Trek franchise new life with that first film. Even if you don't like them, you cannot deny that their success in doing that.
For the
What are the
unfamiliar,
legs? What are the legs of his Star Trek movies? What are the legs of his Star Wars movies? J.J. Abrams isn't Kevin Feige, and that's what Warner needs, is a Kevin Feige. Not a hotshot director with some name recognition who can make some slick, you know, glossy art, but nothing that's substantial that lasts.
Well,
JJ
and that's
should
why.
clarify-
That's why. Look, hang on a second.
He's not Michael Bay.
Right. I think it's telling that this first project is Justice League Dark, which is not an ongoing franchise in the way like the Avengers are, or even the regular Justice League is. It uses fairly minor characters from the DC universe and puts them together to tackle sort of horror / supernatural sort of stuff.
it's
an
the
area
supernatural
where
B-team.
Right, but you know, it's an
Constantine's
area
the
where
Tana,
right. But it's an area where there's room for him to do stuff without necessarily stepping on toes or stepping on canon or whatever. And I think it's telling that that's what they've given to him first before handing him the keys to the DC kingdom.
I think Warner Brothers would be better off giving it to Greg Berlanti.
You think so?
That.
Isn't he still a producer?
Yeah,
On
he
this
is.
movie, we're not sure. I'm not sure.
So that means we might be getting the same actor for Constantine.
No.
I don't think they feel obligated in any way since they didn't do that.
They
with
won't do
Flash.
that. Yeah, well, he's on Legends tomorrow, I think. Ain't he? Yeah.
Yeah, he's been.
Travis, I'd like to hear what you have to say.
Why, thank you. One of the things that I've heard regarding this news from people who are not too happy about this is that it's not his style, and this is what I'd have to say about that. I mean, I'm not going to say that it's going to be good or bad, since it's DC. I really don't care too much. I don't know if I'll be checking it out, but I mean, Craig Mazin before last year was known for movies like Scary Movie 3, 4, The Hangover Part 2, just some not so good comedy films. And he came out of nowhere and made Chernobyl. So JJ might surprise. That's all I got to say there.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Well, we'll stay
that one.
tuned to how that develops in coming months. It's interesting that it's not a theatrical. Justice League Dark originally was going to be theatrical. Now it's going to be part of HBO Max, which is owned by Warner.
Well, it can't be worse than Swamp Thing then.
What's
Can't
that?
be worse than Jack Snyder either.
Yes, he could.
Hey, quick question: has anyone actually seen Swamp Thing, the first season of it? That has anyone
Not yet.
seen it?
No,
Okay,
it's supposed to be great, but there
I'll
was some
get
sort
back
of
to you.
problem.
I'll get it tonight, and I'll get back to you.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
Okay. We're running a little behind, so I'm going to skip a couple of topics and go to talking about Netflix again and a little indie science fiction feature film produced and starring two of the Arrowverse stars, Robbie Amell and Stephen Amell, who are cousins. And the name of that film is Code 8. And apparently it is doing gangbusters on Netflix.
It was my number 3 slot recommended earlier today. So yeah,
Right.
It's definitely doing really good.
You know, I hate to say this. I was excited when I saw it pop up, and then I watched the trailer. And I said, "What is this garbage?" I mean, has anyone actually seen it?
Not yet.
Actually, not too bad. It's really not.
It's okay. I mean, that's what I want to know, because the trailers aren't doing it justice at all. If that's the case, if it's good.
I haven't even seen trailers. What's this about?
Pretty much, it's like a police state type deal. Anyone with superpowers is outlawed, and they're usually arrested and detained and moved off somewhere. Yeah, it's pretty much like the worst possible outcome in a superhero universe you could actually think of, where the government has total power. It takes a minute to get to follow along, and it's a little slow at first, but it does pick up.
So,
okay.
X-Men?
That's part of it.
Pretty much, yeah.
I have for it, Justin, since you've seen it. Have you seen Bright? The
one with the boy.
No, Bright's the.
Bright's the one where they have the first orc in the police force.
Right, that's correct.
Yeah, Bright is Shadowrun.
Right. Has anyone? Because that movie got shit on, and I actually enjoyed it.
I love
that movie.
All right, good. We're on the same page. It's actually a really fun fucking movie. And that movie got shit on. Is it better than that, or is it as good as that? Because if it's as good as that, I'm interested. Like, obviously,
I haven't seen Bright, but
okay.
I'm
Well,
not going
you
to
don't
say
know.
that, and I'm not going to say Code 8 is the best movie ever. But I mean, it's worth a watch. I mean,
cool.
if you're bored,
now I want to
it's
watch it.
better
Then.
than-
Good. Thanks,
It's
bud.
better than watching Tiger King.
That's a pretty low bar, buddy.
At this point, drinking bleach is better than watching Tiger King.
Thank you.
Watching action
Thank
art
you.
is better than watching Tiger
Oh no.
Wait.
Well, we
If we're
can't
talking,
watch Axanar because it hasn't been made.
if we're talking,
Exactly.
if we're talking prelude to Axanar, then yes.
Do you know why Axanar hasn't been made?
Because Alec Peters is quicksand.
No, because of Carol fucking Baskin.
Perfect.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I'll buy
Yes.
That is funny. Okay, so one of the things that Wired Magazine, which is where I came across this movie, points out is that it catapulting into the top 10, I guess top 3 now, thanks to Justin, of in terms of popularity and viewership on Netflix, is that it's an independent film. It's a small independent film, and
It was crowdsourced.
And it was crowdsourced. So it's doing well, and they're wondering, is indie genre are in indie genre films going to catch a break, particularly now that was it you, Jason, who was talking about with the dearth of studio content, that independent films might be able to fill in some of the gap.
Well, I was definitely interested. I mean, that's one of the things I wanted to bring up was that, as we go forward, there's going to be long legs to get movies ramped back up, get production ramped back up, and there's going to be a void of content. And so how's that demand going to be satiated? I mean, you can only watch Netflix old movies from the 80s so many times before they just start to get tired. And so I really do imagine that we're going to see a more nimble productions being able to get some legs out of coming out of COVID.
And real quick, I was looking at it. Looks like it's moved from the number 3 slot down to the number 6 slot.
Oh, Power Rangers Galaxy.
Yeah, that is up there. There we go.
But it did raise $2.5 million on Indiegogo.
Nice.
And it got
which is significantly better than what any other Atlanta.
Wait a minute, it raised how much on Indiegogo?
$2.5 million.
So let me tell you, they made a fucking sci-fi feature film with a full fucking cast for $2.5 million. And how much XR has been produced again?
I knew it.
You had to know where I was going with that. Holy
well,
shit.
This is what happens when you have professionals.
Wait a minute, what? You're kidding. I don't.
Well, I had to
you.
tell you, but this actually builds the case for Axanar, not goes against it. For making a film like Axanar.
No, it makes the case for competent production is what it makes the case
well,
for.
Sure. But remember that with Axanar, the point they were supposedly trying to prove was that you could make quality stuff for a lot less money if you just let the fans do it.
But these aren't fans, though. This was Robbie, and this was basically a passion project.
I'm talking about Axanar.
My point on that, you're right, but you have to let the fans do it out of the fucking equation. Is what it comes down to. I mean, the truth of the matter is, Alec Peters' biggest success. I know we're going a little off on tangent here, but the most success he had was when he handed it to professionals and let them do it. That's it. It's only when he got when the fans got involved that it became a fucking problem. There, I said it.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's after Christian Gossett and everybody left. It just,
Have you seen my list of all the people that will never work with Alec Peters again? It's massive.
Meanwhile,
pretty big.
Legend of the White Dragon is working on less of a budget than Axanar ever would.
What is Legend of the White Dragon?
They're sitting at 168. Oh, that's the film I was talking about last week.
It's pretty much a Power Rangers.
The Power Rangers with the serial numbers filed off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because
Power Ranger knockoff.
You got to remember that you got to consider how time is working for all of us right now. Where the days we're in a really weird time.
Yeah, like vortex. It's a great day today, Tuesday.
Yeah. I mean, days are flying by. But a week ago seems like a month ago. I mean, I couldn't even tell you. It's so fucking.
Look, the only way I knew was Friday, and that there was a show tonight because I had a damn a reminder set on my phone, be like, "Hey, it's Friday." Oh, it's Friday? I didn't realize it was Friday.
Was I sitting down on Friday?
Hey.
Well, I'm excited about Code 8 now, so thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean, let's watch it and do a review next week.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'll tell you what, if nothing else, here's why I'm excited about it. Not just because of what Justin just said, but the fact that I'm finding out now that the whole thing was crowdfunded for $2.5 million. I fucking love that shit. I mean, the thing about it is, I did a review back in 2011 on my blog. for Skyline. It's on the Super Geeks blog. You can find it on there. It's my favorite thing I've ever written because it's just so ridiculous. But the one saving grace for that film, Skyline, is that the visual effects in that movie are fucking stunning. And the whole goddamn thing was made for $10 million. Okay. And it just, that to me was like the first sign of what can be made by the right people on a limited budget. So it gives me a lot of hope for it. And I'm thrilled to see independent filmmakers do shit like this. There's plenty of great content out there that gets buried by the tentpole movies that
Absolutely.
that I love watching, and so I'm excited. Now I'm excited. You made me excited, Justin. Good job.
This isn't new. I mean, Blair Witch was made on a $60,000 budget, and it made $250 million.
Yeah, and that movie's fucking stupid.
That was really more a result of a brilliant marketing campaign than the actual quality of the film.
Correct. Exactly.
Brilliant marketing campaign and actor abuse.
That's why it made money?
That's not why it made money. It's just...
Is there a snuff film associated with it?
That's why it was so cheap.
Yeah, wow, that's like 25 years now.
God, can you believe it? Holy shit.
That's been so long ago.
So, Ross, I have a question.
25 years ago.
Yes.
Is the Legend of the White Dragon, is that the Power Rangers we have at home?
That's the Power Rangers they want to make because Saban initially said no to their pitch. So they said, screw it, we'll make it anyway.
It's the Rower Pangers.
It's Renegades after the guidelines released.
Hopefully it's better than Renegades.
It looks like it. That sounds does a lot of really good stuff.
Hey, since we're talking about Power Rangers really quickly here, if you guys have not seen the Toys pocket you've been living under, but they do a whole episode of the Power Rangers in the Toys That Made Us. So we're now in season 3 with that show, by the way. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move to our question of the week. This one comes from Ross, Eyebrows of Doom, and that question is, are you a fan of something you don't directly consume?
What?
So here's an example. I'm a fan of the Five Nights at Freddy's game series, but
Really?
I hardly ever play it. The thing I'm a fan of is the game itself, it doesn't present you with its full story up front. It's a game where as you play it, you pick up little clues here and there. It's very much an ARG within a game. And its creator loves to seed not just the games itself, but with his own promotional materials with bits and pieces of story that links it all together. So I really like following the community and the theories they come up with and piecing the story together on their own to find out what they think happened, comparing notes, creating timelines, that sort of thing. And it's really interesting to see what people come up with for what went on in this game. The story of Five Nights, the games itself, you're a security guard who are stuck in a room watching a pizzeria as the animatronics get up, walk around, and you've got to keep them out of the office. So they don't stuff you into an empty animatronic suit, which will kill you.
Yeah, that's Five Nights at
See?
Freddy's.
Dumb AI.
Well, it turns out that those animatronics are actually possessed by the souls of dead children who were murdered by one of the employees of the store.
Yes, and this is a children's game, by the way.
No, it is not.
Yes.
No, it is not.
Damn
Tell my
kids,
kids
get
that.
off my
It is
lawn.
absolutely not a kid's game.
Tell my kids that. I've been playing it since God knows how long now. Holy shit.
Then you're a bad parent, obviously.
I am a bad parent, though. That's
The story actually stretches back into the 80s and before with different robotics creators trying to harvest the power of life. Another one kind of goes off the deep end to harvest that life energy from young children who go to these Chuck E. Cheese-like pizzerias. And it's a really interesting story as people refine it as the series goes on. So that's why I'm a fan of it. That's why I like following it and learning a bit more of the story. They're actually releasing books. There are, I think, 12 now with more on the way. There are more books than actual games in the series. So there's a lot of fun to be had in exploring this world outside of the game. So that's my example. So is there anything like that you guys enjoy? Are you a fan of something that you don't directly consume, but others consuming it,
Well, I have
enhancing your own
one.
enjoyments.
And that is the Stargate franchise. I love the original movie, loved the original movie, hated the series after the
What?
first season.
You are
Did not
crazy.
like it. Did
You
not
are
like it.
crazy.
Yeah,
I did like Atlantis, and I did like Universe once they got their shit together.
Carlos, I'm about to say something that's very controversial.
Sure.
Trekkie as I am, SG1 is a better show than The Next Generation. I said it out.
No, it's not.
Yes,
It's
It's a copy of the Next Generation.
Yeah, basically. I mean, some things are direct copies. I know, homage, whatever. But I love the
Season
original.
9,
I love the
season 10.
original concept of Stargate, and I just felt like SG1 sort of went a little campy and kind of
little?
out and
90s
stuff.
television, Carlos. I can defend it by just saying 90s television.
Okay, yes, I can't argue with that. But that's my example.
you are crazy.
Who else?
I would say that there's a lot of like what Ross says, only because I'm on the periphery of a lot of things that I have like. I don't know if I'm a fan of it, but I guess like know a lot about it. Like, for example, Bendy and the Ink Machine is my kid's big thing.
Oh, that's another good one.
Yeah, they're obsessed. My kid Harrison just got 2 figures that he paid for his birthday money. Fuck me, $15 to $22 for a 5-inch figure. But hey, his money. He can do what he wants. Enjoy your birthday, kid, especially in these trying times. Enjoy your plastic.
These dogs.
So, but I mean, I know so much about that fucking franchise that I would have no interest in it otherwise. That if I'm not a fan, I'm at least I'm curious about the universe of the game itself.
Okay,
I appreciate it is what it comes down to. And there's a lot of games. The Five Nights at Freddy's is when I said it's a kid's game because I know that everything you were going through on that. I know the whole thing because my kids. Okay?
Psychotic kids, maybe.
Yeah. Well, look, listen. They think that number one. The Alien franchise, the first Alien is their favorite film. No shit. And
It's a good film.
Yep. And number two, they laughed at the original Halloween when I showed it to them. They fucking laughed. They said,
Well, looking at it 40 years later.
Is this supposed to be scary? Was the question that was repeatedly asked. So, but no, I there's a lot of stuff like that I'm exposed to for my kids that I wouldn't necessarily give a shit about. That they're into a lot of their like YouTube like things they watch, like Chad Tronic and Jacksepticeye, who I do enjoy. Jack is funny, but I mean,
Game Theory.
Yeah, Game Theory, prime examples. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff my kids have exposed me to that I had developed a greater appreciation for through it that I wouldn't necessarily consume myself. So sure,
okay,
yeah.
Thanks, Dad. Travis, you said you had 2 things?
I do have 2 answers. One is Batman, ironically enough.
Ooh, say more.
Say more. Well, I have the entire series of this. I've only seen 1 full season of it. Like, I love Batman. I do. I think he's one of the most interesting superheroes out there. But I mean, as much as I dig him, I haven't seen the full Dark Knight trilogy. I haven't seen a lot of Batman movies. I don't think I've read a single Batman comic in my life. I didn't grow up with the series I just showed you. I mean, like, it was on when I was a kid, but I didn't watch it. I'm very behind in Batman, and
apparently, but you love him.
I love him.
Behind in Batman.
Start with the Michael Keaton movie, and then
Okay, so
forward.
yeah, and then work from there because Michael Keaton's that one was excellent.
But the second answer, some of you might even find even more ironic, but believe it or not, it's Pokemon.
You're killing me.
You can't say that. You legit can't say that. You know why?
Yes, I can.
No, you legit cannot say that. You know why? Because you have directly consumed a Buizel.
There's a difference between owning a plush Buizel and actually consuming the media. I don't watch the anime nearly as much as I did as a kid, and even outside the anime, as far as the games are concerned, I don't think I've bought a Pokemon game in a very long time. I play the spin-offs because I prefer the stories there, but those really aren't the they're not the main focus at all. As far as like, I mean, like, I've been trying to write a review for Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, but that's a spin-off that a lot of people really don't care for. When it comes to Pokemon games, they're more about, oh, I want to play Pokemon Sword and Shield, I want to play Pokemon Sun and Moon, I want to play Pokemon Ruby Sapphire, I want to play, that kind of thing. I haven't played one of those games in a very long time because they've just died out in me.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's like you're speaking a foreign language.
Those are two really great answers, though, Travis. I think that they're exactly the kind of thing that Ross was asking about in the question. Ross, I hope you come up with a question each week, because I wasn't sure where this one was going to go, but I think it's been pretty good. Son, you want to go next?
I don't have an answer.
Okay.
Son consumes everything.
I do. I consume all. This is why I am Index.
It is why you're Index. Processing. Okay. Jason, how about you?
I would probably say Dragon Ball Z.
Wow.
Collective groan. What was that?
Just hear Travis.
That was my groan of disapproval. I am not a fan of DBZ. I'm sorry.
So I grew up, like one of my best friends in high school was really into DBZ, and so like I'd go over there and I'd watch it, and like I liked the mythology of it, right? So what is Carlos doing?
He gets beamed out.
Carlos is really done with this anime talk.
I really am, but everyone gets their chance, so please proceed.
I'm
sorry, the spiky hair, like 3 times bigger than his head. I can't handle it.
That's your sticking point?
Hey, hair?
It's the beginning of my sticking point, and I'm a gay man. Hair is everything.
So
and
you
shoes.
So wait a minute.
Also.
Wait a minute. Are you admitting to us that you like bears? Is that a thing?
No. I'm talking about on top of the head.
I hate. Okay.
I'm not a bear person.
I can't. You broke Jason.
You broke him.
I've killed Jason.
You just broke Jason.
Somebody hit his reset button.
He needs to Control-Delete. Jesus Christ.
I'll hit the reset button. Here's the reset.
I think I caused the blue screen of death for Jason.
I think it was more the.
On the Dragon Ball Z, as you were saying.
Yes, please elucidate.
I had a buddy who used to watch it, and I like the mythology. I like because it very much is tied to like Son Goku, and like there's a lot of influence from like Superman, and you can just see just a lot of kind of like just common mythologies, and I really like the mythology. I just couldn't get over just every single saga just being just like a rinse and repeat of the previous saga. So like it just there was no like you had the robot twin, the android twins, and you had Boo, and then you had Vegeta, and you had like it just they became supercharged, and then they beat him, and then they became a friend, and they joined the quest to fight the next big bad. But I just like the world building and the mythology they built.
I tell you, a good one to watch when it comes to Dragon Ball Z is the Team 4-Star redub.
We are not going down this path. We are not going down this path. Justin, it's your turn to talk about yours
next week.
I would really. See, here's the thing, Jason. I would absolutely love it if Senzu beans actually existed in real life. That would be amazing.
Senzu beans.
I have no idea what we're talking about.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Justin, what do you love that you don't consume?
I feel like I know this song.
You're talking
X-Men.
Specifically the 90s X-Men cartoons.
Yes, that was one of the first cartoons I can remember, actually, other than, the little Kids stuff to actually, enjoying the hell out of, because it was on just about every day back then. It was on every afternoon.
Yeah, Fox.
Every morning.
Fox yeah.
Kids.
Fox Kids. That's what it was called. Did you just walk away in disgust, Travis?
No, I was putting my Batman thing away.
Oh, okay. I would have preferred it if you had walked away in disgust, but that's okay.
I'm indifferent to X-Men.
Oh. Actually, that's one I might have chosen as well, Justin, because I've seen, I think, maybe 3 of those X-Men cartoons. I was not particularly impressed. In fact, the way that Storm talks in it was always like, I am the high and mighty Storm and whatever. But I love the X-Men, so.
And then, of course, there's Real Ghostbusters.
I love that Aurora. She's my favorite Storm. I like her a lot better than Halle Berry.
As far as the X-Men is concerned, I did enjoy a few of the movies. I love Logan, and that's about as much as I can say there.
Okay. Well, that brings us to the end of this topic, and finally to our last topic of the night, and that is our weekly What Are We Watching? Let's start with Justin.
Let's see. Well, I'm gonna finish up Code 8, and then I haven't really been watching too much else this week. I'm still watching DuckTales. It's actually going pretty good. Woo! Other than that, just YouTube videos and playing video games on Xbox Game Pass.
Okay, that was quick.
Oh God, son.
No, that's fine. I'm not complaining.
No.
What? You're not done?
No. Look at Son's photo.
What is that?
That's from Resident Evil, isn't it?
No. This is another Wild Wild West clip.
Oh God, that's why I don't know what it is.
I forgot all about that movie.
This is when Munitia and Loveless are in the fucking tank.
You must have been recently watching that.
Disabled man and his harem of assassins.
I guess we know what Son's been watching.
Yeah,
On loop.
This is not even a half watched recently. These are clips I took years ago.
You got a whole library of screenshots from Wild Wild West.
Now you know why. Now you know why Carlos keeps calling me Index. Shit.
Yeah, she's indexed and she's processing. It's just so forgettable. But anyway, to each their own.
Who's next?
Let's go with Ross. Eyebrows of Doom.
So this week, I decided to dust off my Crunchyroll account and see what was new in the world of anime. And I started watching a strange little show called Straight Title Robot Anime. The tagline reads, more than 7 millennia have, after the fall of the human race, many military robots remaining on Earth still spend each day engaged in endless war. As the battle for dominance rages between the Rebellion Federation that controls Europe and the Principality of Sin centered in Asia, 3 young robots stand up to put an end to the meaningless war. Sounds exciting, right?
Yes.
It's actually about 3 cute little girl-like robots trying to figure out what laughter is.
Yeah, boy.
One is a maid, one is a librarian, and one is a technician bot.
I'm just glad you read that in the voice of the Super Friends announcer. That's what I.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
It's a very strange show. Robots trying to understand humor is naturally kind of funny because as often as they go over the core concepts of what laughter is and what causes laughter, the reasons for why people laugh go completely over their heads. At one point, they actually unintentionally start doing improv.
Robot improv. I'm okay with that.
I'm thinking of Data with that episode with Joe Piscopo.
Oh my God!
Now imagine 3 Datas trying to talk to each other about what humor is. And then, so this topic of humor is about straight talk, about brutal honesty. Do something brutally honest. You don't have hair. and that's the entire show.
This is a series.
And the episode of Joe Piscopo was on Star Trek was the outrageous Okana.
Yes, it was, which is obviously the best episode of the franchise. Next to
So
Next to
that
Sub-Rosa.
show again is a straight title robot anime. Probably one of the funniest sequences is they try to do this massive physical change to stop all the fighting, and in the first episode, they dump a bunch of lubricating oil over the entire planet, and the action-packed intro scene starts, but instead all the robots are slipping.
I have to tell you that everything you said so far, especially that last part, just makes this seem like some sort of weird sexual fetish kind of show.
Quite possibly.
Is it anime?
I mean, it is Japan.
It's CG
so-
anime, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Basically, everything anime is fetish. Even if there's not sex in it, it's all fetish.
In addition to that, the lady and I sat down to watch a movie this week. It's been ages since we were actually able to sit down and watch a movie together, called Ready or Not. Really strange, one of the last movies that was produced by Fox before they were bought by Disney, about a young couple, a young woman marrying into a stupid rich family, and after the wedding, she has to sit down with the family at midnight to play a game in order to be fully accepted into the family. She draws the card for the game, and it's hide and seek. And unlike all the other games, it's a lethal game. They have to hunt her down and kill her in order to fulfill a pact with the devil.
What movie is this?
Ready or Not, I believe.
Oh, cool.
So it's her trying to survive in an expansive, wealthy mansion of a family known for creating board games as they hunt her down with a bunch of turn-of-the-century weapons. One guy has a crossbow that he doesn't really know how to use. They've got a Derringer pistol, and the woman who gets that is on crack the entire time. It's creepy, but it's also funny, and it eventually it all just burns.
It's like an inverted version of
downhill.
What was that? One at a time.
I said, we wonder why Fox went downhill.
It's actually pretty fun. I really enjoyed it. It balanced the creepy and the humorous really nicely.
It's like an inverted version of Rat Race.
It's kind of like that, yeah. And of course, the Glee marathon goes on, as does
that's
Bob
right.
the Builder on repeat.
There may be more in those two shows had in common than I originally thought. Okay, who's next? Son?
Okay, so I fell into music again this week. The Game Grumps posted a new video from Dan Adavant of him singing again. This time with the help of the Super Guitar Bros. They covered Scarborough Fair. And there's a beautiful animation to go with it. It's the animation itself is very The Last Unicorn vibe-ish. And
Really?
yeah, it's the animation really sells Dan's cover. Otherwise, a lot of people go, I like other versions better. But
It's a classic.
Other than that, there's an artist on YouTube called Clay Kramer who does covers in a unique way. Who here has played Animal Crossing?
I don't know who has.
I know Ross has.
I know Travis certainly has.
So Clay Kramer makes covers of music videos, but with as basically KK Slider covers.
I know exactly who you're talking about now.
He the last one that I watched is he did a KK cover of Billie Jean from Michael Jackson.
I like his KK Slider cover of Owl City's Fireflies. Actually.
What is a KK cover?
Okay, so KK Slider is a dog with a guitar in Animal Crossing, and he literally creates songs in Animal Crossing that you get the music of and can play in like a jukebox style in the game.
And KK Slider.
He's an Animal Crossing pop star.
Basically.
KK Slider is legit one of my favorite video game characters of all time. Like, I'm not even lying. He's one of my favorites.
So yeah, he's covered Mr. Blue Sky, Aha's Take on Me, Pumped Up Kicks. Yeah, there's quite a bit. So yeah,
All right.
that's what I've done this week after getting power back.
Right. Shawn.
Okay,
You're up.
I got a list here. I'm going to be very brief with the first four, and I'm just going to basically list them and tell you what they're about. And the last two, I really want to talk about. I just finished watching a documentary series called The Innocence Files on Netflix. You've probably seen it pop up. It's top 10 this week. It's a 9 or 10 part miniseries or limited series about the work of the Innocence Project. And the cases that they've been successful with, and the factors that go into these prosecutions that were wrong to begin with. All these different factors, and it's very, very well done. And what I want to point out what I like about this is that, like, unlike a lot of similar series on Netflix that have done the same type of thing, this one actually, right at the beginning that the guy got out. Okay, so there's no guessing about this, right off the bat. So that takes it, because they're not trying to stress you out with this documentary for whether or not the person's going to get out. It's more of an issue of, we need to take a closer look at the criminal justice system. It's really well done. It's excellent across the board. Also, I have been watching Westworld. Have you guys been watching Westworld? Anybody?
I had a hard time with season 2.
Okay.
I have no idea.
I get having a hard time with season 2. Season 3 is a very, it's gone a completely different way, and it's very smart, and it's very it's kind of like this country, this world that we live in now in 20, 30 years, the way social media and what we're talking about before, the algorithms are going and everything else. It's really well done. I'm really enjoying it so far. Aaron Paul is excellent, and of course our regular cast that we're used to, they're also great. It's very well done. I highly recommend it at this point. Bosch season 6 dropped on Amazon Prime.
I saw that. Has it been 6 seasons? Oh my God!
And I burned through the entire season in 24 hours because it was that compelling. Normally it takes me about 4 or 5 days. I could not stop watching. It was so good. This is the best season yet. I completely agree with what others have said about it. It really is really well done. It's great. I saw the movie Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler, this independent film that came out around December or so.
Yeah.
It came out in 2012. There was a lot of buzz talk about Adam Sandler being nominated for an Academy Award for this. It never happened. I think he either won or was nominated for the Golden Globe. It's a fucking frenetic ride, to say the least. It's not even that the story's that great. It's how the film is done that makes it such a good movie. It's just a great film, and his performance is fantastic. So would definitely recommend that. Saw The Invisible Man.
I swear we've had this exact conversation before about the Adam Sandler movie.
I just saw it last week, so it wasn't me. So, but The Invisible Man, I mean, it wasn't horrible, incredibly predictable. You have it figured out in the first 20 minutes of the movie. 2 shows I want to talk about. First and foremost, a series dropped on Netflix last week from out of Canada called Kim's Convenience. Has anyone seen this?
No.
This is a comedy series, a sitcom out of Canada. It's based in Toronto, surrounding a family, a Korean-Canadian family that owns a convenience store. It is fucking hilarious. I've laughed my ass off so hard at this show. It's basically kind of an examination of immigrants and their
did this come out in like the early 2000s? It's been a while.
No, it's been out for, I think it came out, I think, in 2016 or 2017.
Okay.
And it's just hitting Netflix now. If you like Schitt's Creek, you will like this. If you've seen Schitt's Creek, it's very, very clever, very funny, very irreverent, and strongly recommend it. You'll want to keep watching it until you hit the first episode. And my favorite thing out of this whole mess of COVID-19 that we need to talk about is John Krasinski's YouTube channel called Some Good News. It is wonderful. It's basically John Krasinski running his own little news network out of his living room. The sign behind him, SGN, it was made by his daughters. His kids made it. And he's just doing nothing but reporting good news from the internet. He put out a request for a bunch of for people in his Twitter followers to send him incidents of good news they find around on the web, and they have not disappointed whatsoever. And it's just it is a tearjerker. I gotta tear up thinking about it. It is a tearjerker from beginning to end because it is a reminder of how much good there is still in this world, despite all the shit we're going through. And he's got 3 full episodes on there already. They're like 15, 20 minutes. They're not even long. And like the first episode, he goes to the good news, and he has a nice 10-minute long interview with Steve Carell. Talking to Steve Carell about the times on The Office. It was when it first came out. It was the 15-year anniversary of the Office. It's great. It's just absolutely wonderful what he's doing there. And like I said, John Krasinski is what's going to get us through this crisis. I'm saying this right now. This guy, and like some of these celebrities, they come off as fake, as insincere. This guy is so sincere, and it's so clear how sincere he is, and he just wanted to bring goodness to the world. And so again, highly recommend it. You guys will love it.
And I really hope he continues to do this even after this crisis is passed, because
don't ever stop.
Something that we actually really need, even with news, because there's so much negativity. I mean, on all the networks anymore, and to have someone just to be only the positive side of things, I think that's good. Some people may call it sugarcoating, but you know what? We should have a right to choose if we want to. What we want to be exposed to, and I think this is going to be a great thing, and I hope it continues it.
I hope it never ends. It really, it's done. Honestly, I sound so dumb saying this, but it's true. It's like all this. It's like a million pricks with a needle, and a million cuts with a razor blade. Okay, it's like you don't realize how much all this shit's affecting you, and then it's like you're overwhelmed. And I go to his videos. I've watched them multiple times now. These 3 episodes he's got out there, and it's like it uplifts me so much. It's just great what he's doing, and it's just a reminder of how good we can be as a species.
All right, thank you for sharing. Let's go over to Jason.
So nothing is inspiring and as uplifting as Some Good News by John Krasinski, but I've been watching the Police Academy series as they're all on Netflix.
Oh God!
Yes,
good for you. Just stupid fun. I love it.
God,
I love it.
I have totally forgotten the comedic genius and acting talents of Steve Guttenberg.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yep.
And I really wish he was still making movies.
Yeah, I can't argue with this.
About doing a sequel.
Last week,
no lies detected.
Last week we watched Short Circuit with Michelle and Silas. So this week I did
love that movie.
Yeah, and they've all had all like 7 or 8, all 7 of Police Academies are on Netflix now. So you can go watch them from the very beginning and seeing like the young hot Kim Cattrall, who is a Star Trek alumni. And then
Star Trek alumni are in the Police Academy.
Yeah, it's true, there is.
Yeah. And then we get into Bobcat Goldthwait. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, he's brilliant, but I wasted in that movie.
But the whole it was just, I miss 80s comedies. Like it's with a tinge of raunch, but not too much. And still it's still farcical, but the movies but they don't take themselves too seriously, but they still try to, tell a story that's not like just stupid movie 3, like
right. They know what they are. They're incredibly self-aware. I agree with that.
And they would pack it with as many well-known celebrities or B-listers as they could get, depending on what it was, and they didn't care what they were doing. They made it work like cannonball, and I'm trying to think of a couple other ones, but any of the National Lampoon stuff of the time. I mean, those movies, yeah, they were stupid, they were campy, but they were fun. I mean, that was the whole point of them.
Yeah.
It still
Okay.
pisses me off that the remake, reboot, whatever the hell you want to call it, of Short Circuit is in production hell.
Is there a reboot of Short Circuit?
Yeah, it's supposed to be being helmed by Seth Green.
Really? I think it's gonna.
That could work.
I don't think. I
Maybe.
don't know how I
Robot
feel
Chicken
about
is still
that.
going strong.
I mean,
so-
I think one of the virtues of the Short Circuit movies is that they just were all heart, and I feel like Seth Green would probably just make them parody.
Yeah.
Slapstick bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah,
the first two were pretty slapstick.
they had elements of slapstick humor, but they were all heart.
Yeah.
You know what I would love?
Johnny Five is alive, Ross. That's what I
Yes.
want you to take away
He
from
fell in love with a
Yes.
robot. Not the first time.
this.
Wouldn't be the last.
Okay, who else has everyone gone except me? Travis, good. Travis, what have you watched this week?
A whole lot of cartoons. Like Justin, I caught up on DuckTales. I have not watched the new episode of Clone Wars, unfortunately. I wanted to also watch a couple more episodes of Tales of the Loop, but didn't get to it because I was too busy watching uplifting cartoons like The Amazing World of Gumball.
Nice.
Good job.
I also went through the entire first season, finally, of The Legend of Korra.
Oh,
This is, of course, the sequel series to Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is a series I will go out of my way to say is among the best cartoons I've ever seen out there. It's a show that I keep asking myself, does it deserve to be as good as it is? Because I was in denial of Avatar for the longest time, and it was this eventual acceptance of yes, Avatar is as great as it is, that I have been avoiding Korra for as long as I have. And so just Saturday, when I was cleaning my fish tank, I said, all right, let's just put it on. It's on CBS All Access. I don't have an excuse. Let's just see what it has to offer.
Let's rip off this Band-Aid.
And, and I was not completely disappointed. I was actually pleasantly surprised a good amount of the time, despite the fact that there's a few elements of the show that I really do not care for. For one thing, there are a lot more fart jokes than I would like there to be, which was something that was completely in Avatar, I should say. And no, I mean it. Fart airbending is a thing in this show. I'm not joking. It's a thing, and I don't want it to be a thing. It's a thing.
I mean, let's be perfectly honest. If a waterbender can bend water, then they can literally twist somebody inside out.
Well, I mean, that's blood bending.
The only thing I know about Avatar is my cabbages.
it
It's
reminds me of
worthwhile.
this.
Ross,
It reminds me. Go ahead.
It's 3 seasons of your life that are well worth watching.
I've heard.
I
that.
haven't seen Avatar, but I have seen the first season. I need to catch up on the rest. The first season of The Dragon Prince, and I know the same producer and a lot of the talent behind it did that. So it's certainly on my list to get to.
It's let's put it this way: there's a reason that Korra is accepted by the Avatar community as it's an okay, it's good, it's not great, not terrible, it's good. But I mean, there's a reason why Avatar is so wonderfully beloved and remembered and talked about to this day. There's a reason that Netflix, the live action remake of it, is taking its time, making sure it gets it right.
Unlike
Yeah, unlike the other
last movie.
talk about that
Everything
is-
else Netflix.
that is
No.
the movie.
That was
I-
Uwe Boll, wasn't it?
No, that was M. Night Shyamalan, and it's the first
Oh.
movie I've seen in theaters that I wanted to walk out of. And the only reason I didn't is because I had my little sister with me, but I was miserable in that theater.
Hey, at least you guys didn't see the Dragon Ball Z movie.
Well,
Ugh.
Oh God, I don't even want to think about that.
Or the
Stories are
Legend
funny.
of Chun-Li.
My kids made me walk out of Transformers: Age of Extinction. My kids did, and they were there for the fucking Dinobots, and they left. They made me leave before the Dinobots ever showed up. That's how bad that movie is.
Yeah, the Dinobots were pretty disappointing.
They didn't see them.
Oh, yeah.
but,
I
yeah.
walked out of well, actually, I didn't. I rented it for $1, and I didn't. The last night, I
Yeah.
didn't finish it. I rented it for $1, and I took it back halfway through.
It's that bad, huh?
But yeah, I watched the entirety of the first season of Korra. I'm gonna try and get a review written on it. I've got to say, I'm very curious to see where the rest of the series will go. I haven't started the second season yet, but the concepts are great. I'm not overly keen on the aesthetics, but you know what? I'll let it be its own thing, and hopefully it only gets better from here.
Speaking of dumb-sounding superpowers, I was trying to remember which show it was that did the best job I've ever seen of taking a superpower that sounds like the lamest thing you've ever heard of and turning it into something like, like this huge superpower. And it was from the show Misfits, the British original, obviously, which is always better. And they call it lactokinesis, and it's the ability to manipulate milk. And it just sounds dumb,
Stupid,
but the writers in this show turned it into like this, like you could kill people with milk because there's like milk everywhere. There's cheese. There's like in your body. It was hilarious, and yet
gives a new meaning to
horrifying.
Gives a new meaning to the term being unable to calm one's tits, huh?
Very, very well put.
Perfect timing. That's awesome.
That's what she said.
There was a
No.
perfect timing again. Awesome. There was,
and of course,
series-
they're able to bring down this villain. It was a villain's superpower by sending in someone who was lactose intolerant. They had no milk in their body, so they were immune from his power. It was a great episode of Misfits, an underrated show, I would say.
You guys, there was a series that came. Is this okay? I'm not sure if this was it was supposed to be a series, and it was okay. This is what it was. It looks like it was actually a 2-hour pilot. I'm not sure if it ever aired. It was on Sci-Fi. Talk about dumb powers. This he develops a superpower that is an ability to move things 3 inches. That's the secret.
I've heard of this one.
Yeah, and I remember when I read about this coming out. This back when I was really into my blog. I was like, "This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life." What is sci-fi thinking? But yeah, I just looked it up, and actually, it looks like it actually did air on Sci-Fi.
Yeah, no, it aired. It aired.
I think the lactose power sounds a lot more interesting than just being able to move shit 3 inches.
Well, it was a single episode and a single supervillain. So I don't know how much legs such a show
Right.
would have had, but
Well, if it was a cow, it'd have 4. So
right. So yeah, 2011 was when 3 inches aired on Sci-Fi.
yeah,
Hilarious.
weird shit.
So here's what I have been watching. I've been finishing up the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, a show I really, really like. But because of that, and because the friends I live with are Jewish, and of course it was just Passover, and and building on your John Krasinski example, I saw the most amazing thing. It was a video put together by Jason Alexander and God knows who else to celebrate Seder, and like every Jewish like entertainer you can think of, and even some who aren't but you think are Jewish, put together this from their own home. A Seattle rabbi here sang songs, and it was like this history of Passover, but hilarious. Sarah Silverman's in it, and she's great. And it's like an hour long, and it actually is really cool. Bette Midler is in it.
I would watch that just to see Andy Dick be serious.
I don't know if Andy Dick was in it because I didn't get to see the whole thing. I saw most of it, but it was really well done. It was quite touching, also hilarious. My favorite part was that the star of Mrs. Maisel, who plays a Jewish woman, her name is Rachel Brosnahan, and Darren Criss from Glee, you should know him, Ross, do this whole thing in which they're like showing off all the stuff they know about like, Hebrew, Jewish history and the history of Passover and everything. And then they reveal they're not Jewish at all, which I thought was hilarious. And Rachel Brosnahan plays Jewish really well in Mrs. Maisel. So anyway, so it was a great little thing. You should check it out. I think it's on YouTube, and it's pretty hilarious. So I enjoyed that.
What's it called?
It's I don't remember. I think it's just called a Seder Saturday Seder or something like that.
It's by Tasty. It's on the Tasty channel, and it's Saturday Night Passover Seder Fit.
That's it. Yeah, it's definitely worth watching. It is very entertaining. It's a mix of heartfelt music, but also just Jewish people talking about like weird traditions in their families, and it's fantastic.
We got Henry Winkler.
Oh, I missed him too. It's long, but every part that I saw, I loved.
All right, looking forward to it.
So check that out. Let's see. I've also been catching up on Modern Family, their final season, which they aired their final episode already. I haven't gotten to it yet, but I've actually been enjoying it. So, so that I'm so happy that The Good Fight is back. I think, Shawn, you were the one who alerted me to that. Yep. And I'm just so happy because I love that show so much. So thank you for reminding me that it came back. So I started watching that. And still enjoying Little Fires Everywhere with Kerry Washington and Reese Witherspoon. I think it's brilliant. Been loving it. I stumbled across this interesting show on Hulu. And Shawn, were you the one who was talking about the show set in Toronto?
Yeah.
This is another show also set in Toronto that you would swear was an American show until they start making these little references which make you realize this is either a parallel universe or it's Canada.
It's Canada, which is a parallel universe. Yeah.
Which is a parallel universe.
It's
called Being Erica, and it's a high concept and thing that I don't know, something about it appealed to me, and I've watched like 7 episodes of it. It's about this woman in her 30s who her life is going nowhere, but she's very smart, and she doesn't understand why her life has just turned out so terribly. She finds this therapist who is able to transport her back in time to deal with all the things in her life that she regrets. And she's having none of it until he forces her to do it. And it's actually a charming little show. It sends her back in time to the 90s when she was in high school. And so it's, again, 90s for you, Jason. But it also has some heartwarming things, like there's this whole part about her brother died, and she has to deal with that. And the funny part is that all of the stuff that are her regrets that she tries to fix turn out to not be the thing that she really did wrong, and she discovers something else. It's a really cute little show, and caught my attention, so I've enjoyed that. in the so that's Being Erica. In the guilty pleasure department, Netflix premiered this show called The Outer Banks this week, in which it's basically Scooby-Doo without the dog, and the teenagers solving mysteries don't wear clothes. It's awesome. So you can check that out on
Nudist Colony Mystery
Netflix.
Machine.
It has zoomed up to Netflix's top 10. It's that good. And then to redeem myself, I watched another show on Netflix.
No redeeming you.
Called Unorthodox, which is an Israeli show. Israel is making some of the best television that's out there. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, Unorthodox looks great, by the way. I've seen the trailer.
Have you?
It.
I've seen the first episode, and the trailer was compelling. So it's about this Orthodox Jewish girl from Israel who ends up running away to Berlin to find herself and making friends as she's trying to find herself. And she realizes that she has no education, that the Orthodox system basically there's this, I forgot about this, that Orthodox women, when they leave the house, wear wigs. They do not wear their real hair. And so there's this really dramatic scene where they take off the wig and you see her like basically shaved head, and it's just fantastic. I really recommend it. It's better than the other Orthodox Jewish show called what was it? It starts with an SH. It's good, but it's not as good as this. So check it out.
So basically what you're describing is that scene from DS9 where Loxana takes off her hair.
Not
I
the
was never a
series.
big fan of Loxana Troy, so this is better.
So she was really good when she was on Deep Space Nine.
She was better on Deep Space Nine. Q was better on Deep Space Nine.
The one
My
episode we
favorite
saw.
Q episode is the one where Cisco punches him, and he's like, Picard never punched me. Like, I'm not Picard. I love that. It's one of my best things in Star Trek of all time.
Yeah, those have been one of my favorites too.
I like the Voyager Q episodes, honestly.
Oh yeah, Voyager Q episodes are very good. I agree with that. That's probably as badly as they fucked up the Borg. The Q episodes with Voyager were very good.
I watched the Quinn one the other day. That was
That Death Wish is the name of that episode.
I like the Quinn one.
That's a great one.
I didn't like the other ones because again, like the whole charm of and this is why I didn't like him on Deep Space Nine either. The whole charm of Q is that he was Loki to Picard's Thor.
Yeah.
And so
I like the. I see. The weird thing is, a lot of people hate the follow-up to Death Wish, which is Q and the Gray, but it's literally like a direct continuation because Civil War suddenly breaks out in the continuum.
Yeah, I like it. I'm okay with it. Like I said.
Well, and the whole solution to ending that Civil War was to knock up Janeway.
Well, it's to create a
There
new
you go.
Q.
These humans are crazy. I'm
Hey,
beginning to
Tom
think-
Paris can do it.
Oh, lizard things.
One final little thing to throw in before we close out for tonight, because I know we're all getting ready to go.
Yep.
This is kind of a late.
Bring us home,
thing.
Piano Cat.
Kind of
Play us out, Piano Cat.
I'm not listening to this.
Oh, you'll be okay. Hang on, let me go here and click here and only sound. Yes. Come on.
Are we
I
watching the
have
Prince
no
of
idea what
Egypt?
that was. What was that?
That was RoboCop.
I thought it
Oh,
was. I was
wow.
thinking, is it RoboCop? But I didn't hit. But you didn't get us to the.
It's been 30 years since I've seen that movie.
Oh, that's got to be on the watch list for this week.
Well, hold on. Oh, you got to stop sharing your screen. Stop sharing your screen.
Oh, hold on. It was
good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, hold on. I want to.
Okay, last thing, then we're signing out for the week.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
GDQ, it's running a marathon for COVID relief. So twitch.tv/GDQ. They're
Thanks.
playing games all week, taking donations. Good entertainment, good cause.
All right, thanks, Ross.
The most underrated DreamWorks film, The Prince of Egypt. Go and watch it.
I like
I
Prince of
like that
Egypt.
movie.
Yeah, that's why I say it's underrated. Nobody seems to remember it except when you bring it up.
Was it Titan AE?
Nope.
Titan AE was Fox.
Another underrated movie.
Don Bluth.
Titan AE was a Bluth film.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I'm a big fan of Don Bluth. What are we watching, Shawn?
hold on one second. I'll pull it if I can find me back in the Zoom chat. Where the hell am I? Can't find me.
I
Shit.
see you right there.
You can. I can't see shit.
Go to Window and select Bring All to Front.
Window.
Ugh,
There you are.
why do we do this to ourselves?
Oh wait, there I am. Okay, so here we go.
Why are we?
All right, here we go. Let's share the screen. Let's bring it up.
Make sure you select audio.
Only 4 a.m.
Okay, share computer sound. Do I do optimize screen?
Sure.
Okay, let's do this.
I have you now. Right there, right there.
I know,
Oh my God.
frick, no. Again. What's going
Destroy
on?
the blocks.
Oh, the blocks?
Yeah.
I love every second I can get with your kids. They're so great.
You know what this is making me think of? It's just making me think of the movie. Only when Darth Vader says, "I have you now," there's just another stormtrooper off to the side, just like, "You gotta get him, you gotta get it." It's like, I know he's strong from.
You know the game I want was Last Starfighter. Last Starfighter? Yeah, there we go.
That game? Yeah. Well, so yeah, so they are loving this. So how do I stop sharing? There we go. All right, so there we have it.
Those kids, I love your kids. They're hilarious. They're comic geniuses.
They really are.
They're the best. Okay, well, I can't think of a better way to sign off the show. Thank you, everyone, for being here and sharing. Folks at home, hope you enjoy the 2-part format. You can pick out the pieces you like. Jason, thank you for joining us officially as co-host, ongoing co-host. Now, Son, I hope you don't completely kill Index, but I trust you. You always come up with something great. Ross, thank you for your introductions. Always great. And thank you for the eyebrows of Dune. And Justin, of course, as always, thank you for producing the show. Everyone, see you next week. Is that Bicentennial Man?
Yes, it is.
See, I finally got one.
One is glad to be of service.
Okay. All right. Play us out. Keyboard Cat. We're out of here.